Hello YouTube and welcome back. Ryan from Jongai here. Today, bringing you a different kind of video, a positive video, a negative video, who knows, hopefully a very interesting video, because I want to talk about a fair few topics. Try and bundle in a few things to one. So, the first thing was that recently, a few days ago, was the Oceanic World Championship qualifier. So, I happily became top 8. Um, However, I did misplay pretty badly in game 1 of my top 8 match. It is a written feature match, so it will appear eventually, immortalized forever. I don't feel too bad about it because anything could happen game 2 and game 3, and I could go deep into my own psychology or just sports psychology, but quite genuinely, I feel quite fine with how everything went. It's a very strange tournament because there's only about 290 players, and it goes to a top 64 cut. So I actually came 34th or 35th with a 6-3 record, which to me just feels a bit gross. But likewise, it does feel really good to finally, in Yu-Gi-Oh, have a tournament where it's easy to top and you get a lot of good prizes. Which I would definitely thank Konami for. The prizes were excellent. It feels really, really, really good, and yeah. So the deck I played is on the screen right now. I ran back the Heraldic Ryzeal deck from States. Not much changed in the main deck. I put in like a second Imperm and a Nib. Uh, Overall, I am very, very, very happy with this deck. Uh, it is an abomination. It's a, you know, plague on the game. I cannot deny. Protoss definitely needs to be put back to sleep. He's eaten enough. Yeah, he's eaten enough little girls and snakes where he really should be put to rest. I'm really happy with like the global adoption of this deck, especially in Australia. But it also had quite strong showings in France and in Italy, I believe, and all over the place. And I do a lot of people did say, like, I am directly responsible for that, and I do thank them. To me, that's a big win. I'm very happy that I get to show my game. Obviously, winning does help because appeal to authority and all that. Winning the event will obviously draw eyes to you, and then people will happily, try your ideas more if you're a winner. That's just a normal thing about humans. Um, but yeah, super happy with uh, the power level of this deck, like how good it is. It's a shame, like a lot of this deck is just comes with the theory and the deck construction itself and the optimization of combos. Testing these kinds of decks are very difficult because it's very bad for the person you're testing against. So many non-games, but there does come a time with, say, FTK decks or combo decks like this where you just actually need to play things out to see very minor intricacies, make sure you can actually execute the combo, because at this Oceanics, guys, like maybe 6 or 7 games, my opponents just immediately scooped. I would go X, send Patriarch, and they would immediately scoop, which is correct, but that's really not how Yu-Gi-Oh should go. Like, I crave to interact with my opponent again. I really do. Believe it or not. Some people might not believe me when I say that, but I actually do really want to interact with my opponent in a more classical sense, because that is what Yu-Gi-Oh fundamentally should be about. Yu-Gi-Oh should be about, trades back and forth with big boss monsters and like combos that are cool combos and strong combos, but not too overwhelming where they instantly win on the spot. And just unfortunately, there are so many bannable cards right now in the game. Konami needs to do something about it. Konami definitely needs to do something about it. But before I talk about that, just some minor changes with my deck list. So I played a Light Dragon Adaginsta mainly because I was afraid of Lunar Light, but also it is quite good into Mitsurugi, protecting you from a board wipe twice per turn. If you don't know, it has that first effect on it, like Detonator, but it can be done twice per turn, protects all your monsters from being wiped. Absolutely came in clutch for me. Galan Granite and one Nib, just because I really like the idea of just win more. Like in this format, you need to win more. Don't let anyone gaslight you saying like your combo is win more or you don't need to do something. That is false. Which I'll try to explain later on why that is false in a different discussion to right now. But put it this way, in a format with Drolls and Perulia and Fualos, just put up the best board you can. Just combo the hardest you possibly can. Just ignore them. That's this deck's main philosophy. Just Protoss them. Just summon the Immortal Baguska. If you don't get Charmied, if they draw regular hand traps, Ouroboros eats them up. You can't be board broken. There's nothing that they can do. And because of that Immortal Baguska, I was afraid of that, and I think the only card that could really do it is Droplet. But even then, it's not perfect. So, very depressing, really. Like, the mentality of this tournament is like, Malice kind of bad. The win rate of this deck into Malice and decks like this into Malice is so high, just because of the Protoss and the Eschatos and just your ability to force all their interaction on the board and then lock them out. Because people don't understand, like, the main issues of the format, or a lot of the times where you lose versus, say, Mitsurugi and versus Malice, is what I call, well, from Snake Eye format, what I called the Snake Eye, like, wall of idiots. Like, you could get through all of their interaction, but because of their Flamberge, because of their Princess, they float back all these monsters, all this advantage, and you can't clear them. And the reason you lose on the next turn is you couldn't clear all their monsters. Malice and Mitsurugi, they do a very similar thing, thanks to Futsu, and just the nature of Malice. Malice has its own issues with its, like, synergies with, say, Access Code Talker. It kills way too easily, but I kept losing because you just can't clear all their monsters, all their resources. So the solution to that is Protoss. Protoss and Eschatos are the solution to that issue. That's why these cards are played. But also, I mean, fundamentally, yes, the two best decks are Dark Monsters based, and Ryzeal really isn't. And then if you need to call Light with Protoss, you can easily deviate. This deck can call any attribute at once. Like, my deck has difficulty calling Water, but that's easily solved. If you play Ragnar Zero, which I know the winning list did, I guess spoilers, in the Oceanic WCQ, yeah, the winner did play Heraldic Beast Ryzeal. Like with most top events at this level, like, in this top 64, I would say, like, more than half, like, maybe around half of these people have the potential to win. Like, that's just the nature of the format. 16 people, even, like, definitely around, like, a quarter of the people in the top 64, I have no issue sending them to Worlds. Even then, that's my ego talking. Like, at the end of the day, it's wonderful. So many strong players, so many Melbourne players, Victoria players especially. I lost to the second place, the White Forest deck here. I lost to Dino. Again, great player. I have no issue at all. My dear friends fell short, and I really do think that this was my year, but that's okay. I strangely don't feel too bothered by it. But yeah, enough about that. I guess the second part of this video is just, as I alluded to before, there's just so much wrong with the game right now. It's a different game. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Classic. And it all comes down to, you know, the nature of what is Yu-Gi-Oh! Semantics, definition of words, subjective, objective feelings. We all have, like, we all have this idealized version of what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, and then we're always, like, chasing that. And for someone like me, I consider myself like a master of all kinds of Yu-Gi-Oh!, all formats, all style of decks. Obviously, I favor towards one particular style, which most people would call, like, a lot of extenders, a lot of combos, crazy, ridiculous, degenerate combos. That is my favorite part of the game. Building strategy, exploring new options, and doing these massive combos. I do enjoy that a lot. The skill from those decks more so comes from the deck construction and preparation, more so than, say, like, technical play or execution over various turns. But even then, I do consider myself quite good at old formats, and I still do definitely want to try to reprove to myself that I can play, like, more, you know, low to the ground decks. Again, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Terms I don't like even saying, but they're just what most people are saying now, so I will say them too. So modern Yu-Gi-Oh suffers from primarily, obviously, we have to remember, like, Konami physically prints cards and physically writes effects on cards, and some of those effects are just way too strong. And then, obviously, this leads to these one-card combo decks, where one card leads you to all your other cards. This is a simple game to design choice by Konami. Makes decks easy to understand, easy to pick up. Well, in theory, it makes them easy to pick up, but if the cards aren't self-intuitive, as in like you must search this piece and then that piece, etc., it can be quite overwhelming for new players. But then, obviously, behind that, you have this hand trap issue. You have this hand trap issue, and recently there was a image, I guess, going around on Twitter. The Nerd Factor, big fan of this content creator. You know, the Molchami problem. This is also the Maxi problem. One of the main reasons why I hated Maxi was for this very reason. And not that I want to call like most decks bad, because they're definitely not. But the solution to modern Yu-Gi-Oh, if you want to play it, is that your deck should ignore Situation 2 and Situation 4. Your deck should just ignore them, or you should try to do your best to ignore. Which is what Heraldic Beast Ryzeal does. If outside of Droll is the only thing. Like this deck is 2 cards. It's Extra Ryzeal and it's Droll. You either auto win or you get auto stopped, which is very unhealthy. But that's the way that this deck wins. So outside of Droll, most people have more Molchamis than they do have Drolls. This is just true. You're more likely to encounter a Molchami card than you are a Droll. That's just true. So you should build your deck around this idea. You know, Situation 1, obviously, if you play fair hand traps against a deck like Heraldic Beast Ryzeal, they just get all eaten up by hand looping or just a ridiculous amount of extenders, and you can't win, right? And then, like a fair deck, say, would get more Charmid, they would have to stop, make a half board. But what if your board is just so ignorant, so broken, lingering effects, you just do it anyway, which is what Heraldic Beast Ryzeal does, which is why it's so strong. You get single more Charmid, or you get double more Charmid, you just proceed. You resolve Protoss. You make a Baguska with a Star Leech that can't be targeted. You set up a Ryzeal Cross with a Negate that doesn't activate. You make a Detonator with like 3 to 4 materials. You have an Eclipse Twins. If they out your Baguska once, you bring it back with Eclipse Twins. If they out it again, you bring it back with Plugin. There's so many different ways of doing this. There's not enough cards. People don't build their decks, and it's wrong to. It's wrong to assume that you're going to draw to like 13, 14 cards and play like 3 Imperm, or play a Saki 1 of Droplet in your main deck. People don't build their decks like that. So a good Yu-Gi-Oh deck is one that tries to ignore this situation as much as possible. This sort of reminds me of like the prisoner's dilemma in like economics and in game theory. So as long as the Konami Banlist allows, you know, certain strong cards to exist that can just ignore this minigame, it's very unhealthy. But likewise, are we just all playing the game wrong? Like, if this bothers you, if this situation bothers you, are you just playing the game incorrectly, or are you just in the wrong game to begin with? And it's very important to understand why you're doing what you're doing, why you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! 4. Like, it's okay if you don't like this, and it's okay to go play retro formats. It's alright. It's not okay to just, you know, be in it and complain non-stop about it, or not even try to solve it, or blame just luck. It's just really not that. Like, even in Situation 2 here, I've been in this a billion times, and then just set Solemn Judgment, set Solemn Strike, and you still win. You know, actually build your deck with, like, the all-rounderness. Like, it's not good theory, but sometimes it is. Like, that's the issue with Thrust as well. Like, cards like Thrust, when they're searching healthier cards, like, you know, Daruma Karma Cannon, or Black Goat Laughs, or anything that's not like a lingering floodgate, like, there are ways to solve this that don't just immediately auto-lose. Like, obviously, this is a simplistic diagram that makes it easy to understand, but it's much more nuanced than that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is full of nuance. full of super complicated nuance. If you think you're losing too much to this sort of situation, really just maybe go back to the drawing board, try out some unusual things, and we do see like, say, this is why the health of, say, like a turn 0 hand trap, people really like these turn 0 hand traps that are like in archetype. For example, Vanquish Soul, Holy Sue, and then K9 archetype coming out. I forget the name of the monster, but it's a hand trap. Haveness. There's a Draco Tail one, Rescue Ace Impulse, because cards like that really help you, not lose to the more charmies as hard. And they also make you not lose to draw as hard, because if you're playing and drawing and searching on your opponent's turn as well as your own, like, what's your opponent going to do? Are they just going to draw themselves on their turn when you start playing, and then they don't have a draw for your turn? And there's a whole bunch of complicated situations, but put it simply, the less all-round your deck is, the more you will lose to these sort of situations. But then, inversely, the less well-designed your deck is, or the less, say, degenerate. Because while these decks say, like, the engineering and the construction of these style of decks is actually very, very, very large. Like, majority of the skill of these decks comes from the deck construction itself, and considering all the different hand traps and the lines and executions, because this diagram doesn't just resemble Orchami. Every combo deck goes through this for every single hand trap in the game. Like, if your deck has a silver bullet hand trap, you have to know how to do it. And then also every combo deck just has to be like, well, what happens if I get Ghost Ogred here? What if I get Cherried? What if I get Trolled? What if I get, like, Ash Impermed? Like, am I dodging Ash Veiler enough? Do I just auto-lose to Nib? There's all kinds of things going on. Which does make the game more hype, because it does increase variance. Luck-based gameplay. It's sort of in your hands, but it's also sort of out of your hands as well. I don't really know the direction Konami should take. I have my opinions, which I guess the next part of the video will be as soon as I log back into Dueling Book Banlist. So, what must happen? Quick water break. Yes. Water. And I just got rid of a card. I think it was a Fua loss. Yes. Okay, so, as I mentioned before, the game is horribly broken right now. Ideally, we should be able to, interact with our opponent. There are a few things that don't allow us to. Protoss. Big Daddy P. I'm this card's #1 fan, enthusiast. I've been its loyal servant. It is my god, more or less. It is the Yu-Gi-Oh god, the entity that I worship. But it should not be allowed. It should be banned. Maybe they should just take out Banshee instead, because it's really just a chicken and the egg issue of what's more broken, the card itself or the card that searches it. Banshee is a little bit too ubiquitous. Like, rank 4 has its own issue. And it's also a thing, like, we don't know if it's a rank 4 issue or if it's just a Ryzeal issue. It's sort of a Ryzeal issue, but a lot of rank 4s getting caught in the crossfire right now. Like, especially Baguska and even things like Dugaris are like, and Eclipse Twins, they're all pretty bannable. Like, so many rank 4s are bannable. Like, I think all the generic searches, King of the Feral Imps, Gallon Granite, Banshee, Durodrive, they should all probably be banned, but they don't really need to. Like, for the immediate health of the game, Protoss must leave. Put it simply, Protoss just must leave. Ouroboros as well, just must leave. Because, Gagaga, Dododo, the Ryzeal Onomatopoeia deck, can also just abuse Ouroboros. And then it just creates these mini games of, if you don't draw any lingering hand trap, your hand just gets gobbled up, eaten up, for free. So he definitely shouldn't exist. Other things that probably shouldn't exist, I'll talk about Catapult Turtle. I had a deck that I'm going to show off soon. in a more like dedicated profile, but there are a lot of one card FTKs right now in the game that are pretty versatile, honestly. Like they're not as all in as previous FTK decks or combos. They use Mitsurugi cards and they use like Tachyon cards to do it. There's a lot of one card FTKs. Like I've built decks that have 18 one card FTKs, and such things just shouldn't exist, whether they top tournaments or not. I can go to locals and go 4-0 with Catapult Total FTK, so probably shouldn't exist for the health of the game. um, if you don't know, you search that off 7th Tachyon by revealing Ragnar Zero Infinity or the Silent Honor Dark Knight rank 5, and then you tribute a Numeron Dragon that has more than 16,000 attack, which is quite easy to do, and you just win the game. And then pretty much 3 level 8 monsters without a normal summon is an FTK. So in basic Horus combinations, the game just ends. That just reduces the whole nature of Yu-Gi-Oh itself, trading back and forth. And then obviously, like many people think about Mermail. Mermail is a lot better than what it results show. It's like play rates show. It's this thing like, if for some reason tomorrow every good player just wakes up and plays Mermail, the general population of Yu-Gi-Oh will just see how broken this deck is. I really don't know why it's not actually played as much. Maybe it is too hard to play. Like when you really master the intricate combos and the hidden effects, the deck is so broken. But fundamentally, again, hand loops should not be a thing. Searchable barrier statues that can be protected probably shouldn't be a thing as well. I think for the immediate health of the game, one of these water cards needs to be banned, like Minstrel, Moulin Glacier, or the water statue. I'm more of the Minstrel or Moulin Glacier kind of guy. I just take out these 2 cards, and then you can actually break their board. They can actually statue you, but you can actually break it. Because like, a big health of the game, I think, is like when you can play both board breakers and hand traps. That's good healthy. Because then you have to consider more in your combo deck. Anyway, Ryzeal issue. I do think 7th Tachyon is an okay card to remain at 3. It does require extra deck dedication, and it does neg 1 you. X Ryzeal is another issue altogether. Should this be limited? Should this be banned? I don't know. I don't want Ryzeal or Malice to be completely annihilated by a ban list. They're kinds of decks that you just need to hit the broken cards on the periphery. You need to hit all the broken cards on the outskirt of the decks, and then you need to just say limit the consistency greatly, like super down. Which goes with like March Hare, Chessy Cat, Allure of Darkness. I can't stand Chessy Cat. I also can't stand Allure of Darkness. Like if Droll isn't as played as much, then Malice can just start playing Allure of Darkness again, and then they can start drawing 5 to 6 cards in their combo. I think that's where Malice wins. It's because it just draws too many cards. Should they semi-limit Chessy Cat as well, like her other friends? Should they semi-limit March Hare like the other ones? Who knows? I don't know the answer. Should they be limited or semi-limited? I really don't know the answer. But they definitely need some consistency hit. Again, I really don't want them to ban things like White Binder. Like they can ban Splash Mage, sure, but Cyber's like identity and gimmick is all about like the link climbing. I don't know what the right direction is. I don't want them to ban cards like this. Like the banning of Link Dakota was a better ban than I thought, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Splash Mage is a really good ban. I just don't want them to kill the decks entirely. I want them to be playable. Just like how Sprite and Tia were playable and are still sort of playable for a very long time. Just in a nerfed state where it really just promotes creativity and deck building to like make them work. That's what I want to see with Ryzeal and with Malice. Ryzeal needs to take a back seat. Ryzeal just needs to be a secondary action, a secondary engine, because cards like X Ryzeal can't have that positive cost of sending an XYZ monster to the graveyard. Well, I don't really care about like Aggregator or the new Sky Blaster card who kills a back row. Being able to send Patriarch is just too broken. It's just abomination. X Ryzeal on its own represents about, I think it's like 7 or 8 rank 4s on its own in the Heraldic Beast Ryzeal deck. So it's just too strong. And then Just limit the card's access to cards except for the Tachyon and such, and then your opponent can ash them or just draw you. It's fine. Mitsurugi Prayers. While I do like this card because it's the ultimate like versatile combo card, it is obviously very strong, and the ability to search all three of them on your first turn is too strong. Because you'll use one, you'll set one for your opponent's turn, and then you already have a follow up for your turn 3, which is too strong. Probably needs to be limited or semi-limited. Again, not sure what Mitsurugi needs. Mitsurugi feels nice and fair when all you're doing on your end boards is literally like Murakumo Wipe and Purification. Like there are other issues with Mitsurugi. I think a lot of them just comes from the ubiquitousness of the engine, thanks to King of the Feral Imps, which again could just be a Ryzeal problem, but it's also been a bit of an Orcus problem in, I know, regions that are not European based, because we do not have the new Orcus cards yet. But like if King of the Feral Imps remains, it'll just be the same thing with Banshee, that if your deck can incidentally play level 4s, you just get a free King of the Feral Imps, which gets you to like 3 free monsters, that one of them board wipes, and then you can set a negate up with your Mitsurugi cards. So probably a bit too much. I do want King of the Feral Imps banned. I do think it's good to ban this card now, just so we can preserve the ritual identity of Mitsurugi, because I do like playing pure Mitsurugi. I think it's fairly fair and well-rounded. Now, the more Charmies and Droll. I would love to see all these cards semi-limited, because I think they are necessary forces in the game, and they do create some interesting games sometimes, and playing around them can be fulfilling and rewarding in themselves. Obviously, sometimes you can't do those things I just mentioned, so it'd just be nice to see them less often, except, like, maybe Molchammies really should have just been once per turn. Like, the 2 of them per turn is a bit too much. So, as a result, I think if there's just less of them in the game, if you see them less often, if you're playing against them less often, that'll be highly rewarding. Same thing with Droll. Like, Droll is this powerful game-defining force, alongside many things, that probably need to be at 3 forever to maintain the, health of the game. To, like, preserve our sanity. However, I do think its play rate is a bit too high, where Konami will actually, like, semi-limit it. So I do hope. I hate Droll and Lockbird. It has always been my enemy for a very, very, very long time. Especially when I'm playing decks that I like to just, farm resources with. And it's like fair resource farming. Like it's not too overbearing, but then I can't even do that because of Droll. Makes me sad. I do have a Thrust issue. Like, Thrust is obviously probably a card that should never have been made. The ability to search any spell or any trap is a bit too much. I like this card in probably almost all of its applications, except for when it sets the lingering floodgate traps. These all have their own issue. They've all been broken for a very long time. I think the most bannable one for the health of the game would be Harpies for the Storm. Just needs to be removed immediately. I don't care as much about the dimensional cards. I guess Dimensional Barrier has just been, again, it's like Konami prints archetypes and decks and writes card text on cards that promote you to only use one summoning mechanic, but then at the same time they also allow things like Dimensional Barrier to exist with no counterplay at all, which is then an issue with like Red Reboot. Should Red Reboot come back? I wouldn't mind 1 or 2 Red Reboot, honestly, but that card is also questionable. Maybe they should make a new Red Reboot. Maybe they should make a Molchami Red Reboot, or like some Molchami fucking trap card stopper. Who knows? Mistaken Arrest is a bit meh. Like, it's been an issue for a long time. Like, I remember this being played in all sorts of old formats. It does appear eventually, but I don't really mind too much about it. Only a few decks can play it that well. But I think, yeah, for the health of the game, probably should be removed as well. But yeah, so Konami, if you're hearing my plea, please ban Protoss, please ban Catapult Turtle, please ban Moreland Glacier, Featherstorm, King of the Feral Imps, Ouroboros, Baguska. At least, like, there are so many bannable cards still in the game, but yeah, and minstrel, and minstrel. Alright guys, it's been a pretty long video. Hope you've enjoyed this little discussion on just the state of the game, what's going on, my thought processes. Thank you for everyone at Oceanic who gave me some kind words or some feedback. I really do appreciate it. I need to make more videos like this. And I really just want to show off cool and fun decks. Because fundamentally, at the end of the day, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is what you make of it. And I make of it something really fun. Cool strategies and cool decks. And then just happy to accept many realities of the game. Because usually there are solutions. And you just need to be able to take risks and solve those things. I think a lot of players are just afraid to take risks, afraid to try things, but it's just a locals, guys. Come on, just try out some wacky stuff at your locals. Try out some unusual deck builds. If there's a problem, think of the problem and just solve it. Just go for it. I empower you. I empower all of you. Just to, yeah. I mean, easier said than done. Winning feels good. I get it. Winning feels good. But also, strategy, thinking, using your brain, figuring things out also feels really good. But also don't forget the social aspect of the game. Just thank you to everyone, all your support, all my friends who I test with non-stop, who have to endure me FTKing them, hand looping them, protossing them. I really do appreciate it. And then fundamentally, they are what make it worth it. The people you meet and the connections and friendships you make. That's what makes it worth it. So we can only hope that Konami can promote a positive environment where we can actually have some more interaction. Because more interaction in Yu-Gi-Oh! Means you have more chance to make friends. Simple as. Alright guys, thank you so much. Peace out. Bye.